Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Boys in the Baltic Star. If you are a fan of forearms, you have found the right channel. It's your new home. Set the dial, snap it off. This is your new home from now on, just like it's Ali's home. Good evening, Ali. How are you tonight? There are three of us here this evening. Hello, and it is Friday. And when all three of us are here on a Friday, it means we're playing Traveller, our most beloved of all games. It is our ongoing science fiction roleplay game based in the Traveller Mongoose universe. We say based there because we played the most glacial, ridiculous version of it. More, it's like an old episode of Neighbours rather than up to date, hot science fiction. But we love it that way. That's what it's all about. Everyone loves Neighbours. We all need good neighbours, don't we? A little understanding. But
I'm going to be honest, I've never seen one episode of Neighbours.
no, get out.
No, never.
I used to like you. You used to be my fave. I'm turning off standing for Ewan this evening. He doesn't deserve to be.
Notice how I brought it up in, like a crowded place. So you didn't cause a scene.
You didn't say this to me in the pub when it was just me and you the other night.
No.
When a ruckus could have started. How dare you? Fids is here though. Fids, he's never watched Neighbours. Can you believe it? Ali's very upset about it, I can tell. Ali's a big fan of Neighbours. Well, was. Of course, doesn't exist anymore. Sad times. I bet it's Ewan that wrote in to ask for it to be banned. It's like, I want something good on TV. Get rid of it. So I don't want it clogging up my like 2 lots of 25 minutes a day. You could put more Steve Muffin on in that time.
No, I'm not that vindictive, Luke. I just go do something else.
Yeah, he says that. It's all part of his character. He's like, you're like, what's his name? Who's the guy that everyone hates now? The English chat show guy. You're like James Corden. You carefully create a nice public image, but beneath it, well, you're vindictive. You like throw soup.
I just get rid of all these jokes that I was going to rip off from other people.
Oh, come on, all our materials ripped off. If we did that, we'd have nothing.
It's been going a while because, I'm very old and I remember watching it at school.
Oh, my goodness. But yes, anyway, good. This is, well, if it's your first time here, this is what it's like, quite frankly. So if you're still here, thank you. We'll play for a couple of hours this evening. So it's normally between 2 and 2.5, depending on where it goes. So please feel free to stay for as long or short as you want. If it's not what you're liking, then that's absolutely fine. Thank you for giving us a go. We appreciate that. There'll be a break in the middle. Then you need to make sure that you charge your glasses with whichever you're drinking tonight. When we come back for the second half, we start with a very important toast. It's our tradition, but we'll go into that when we get there. If it is your first time, please feel free to lurk. We love our lurkers. Twitch is built on lurking. We'll never shout you out. If you're lurking, so don't worry about that. Or you can chat. As you'll notice, chat is friendly and has already gone off on one about Neighbours. And myself, Ben and Ewan will get involved in the chat when we're not necessarily deep in the role-playing juju. Sometimes even when we are deep in the role-playing juju, we manage to do both at once. And sometimes chat can spill over into the role-playing juju. It's just a big juju soup, quite frankly, this channel. Adding to the juju soup is some spices and some herbs. If you click on the red sun, they're where you can spend your points. People are spending them already. The fist bumps are flying. You be careful, Socks. You've not got many credits. I don't want you to spend them all on fist bumps. There's lots of things you can spend your credits on. There's a whole range. The cheapest thing, we keep 1 credit, which is very important, is if someone says something or you agree to something or there's a toast of some kind, you don't want to spend too much. For 1 credit, you can drink to that. So you can be part of that whole thing. My colleagues can't hear the music, but they can see, so it's at the bottom left. I have to take my guns out now. I've been working them out. I've been doing my I've been working on the triceps recently. So there's a bit of tricep growth, which doesn't really show up in the cameras, but I'm very pleased with that. So the guns are coming. Someone else did a team muffin. So for example, that means I have to click on something that brings up our most beloved character of all in the whole of Baltic Star. If he's still here. I think he's gone. No, there he is. Steve Muffin. Everyone loves Steve Muffin. But
my heart skipped a beat when you said he'd gone, Luke.
I know. But then someone also brought up Team Yana, so Yana has to come up as well.
Yes.
That's an in-joke. A lot of the stuff we do is in-joke. Please get through that and hang around, and you might learn to appreciate it. And you might even start to understand what some of the team jokes are. If you want to interfere with the game itself, there are things like you can give us a boon, which we'd very much appreciate. That's expensive, though. You can name an NPC, and that becomes canon. That is canon. You can do things like clonk, which means that the character has to hit someone or something. That's just what happens. So you're interrupting the game. You can, if someone's ordering something, you can make them order an extra one by picking, say, if you're making one, which will affect their money. Daddy Agnar mode makes him pay for whatever is being bought at the minute, whether he's there or not, because he is Daddy Agnar on the characters. And there's a few things. Have a look around, see what you like, spend your points or save them. It's up to you, but you can't take them with you at the end of the day, you know. I suppose we'll introduce each other and then we'll get on. It's already late. My name is Luke. Hello, I'm in the bottom right-hand corner, and I play two characters. And I have played two characters in this game since the very beginning. I play a lady called Kara, and there she is. She's an artist, she's a hacker, she's a talker, she's a carouser, she likes taking photos, she likes vlogging. She's great with people, terrible with bullets. So that's Kara. And I also play Soraya, who is good with drinking, terrible with trying to be posh. She's a scout. She spent years and years on her own in scout ships. So she loves her sport. She loves sort of a bit of engineering, sort of all that sort of greasy stuff. But yeah, when it comes to talking to a king, she doesn't know what to say. Much like one of the characters of my good friend and colleague, my brother from another mother, the housewife's favourite, the slightly under the weather. So can we all send a lot of sympathy to him this evening? But he's coming anyway because he's an absolute hero. It is the wonderful Ewan. Good evening, Ewan. How are you?
Oh, thanks, Luke. Yeah, I'm a bit under the weather, but I've been kept very happy with you posting Uncle Roger videos in Discord to give me something to laugh at.
Uncle Roger.
So, you know, it's not all bad. There has been a smile on my face. And you're right, I do play somebody who is socially inept, both in real life and in the game. Stefan Müller, who is quite socially awkward. Not very well educated, but reasonably dexterous. Sneaky paranoid space rogue. I also play Agnar Arnson, former military general, now Daddy Agnar to the crew. Fluffy Varga, who is very well educated and reasonably high up in his social standing, although less so now that he's joined the Baltic Star, obviously, in a good way.
And to be honest, with what he's doing at the minute, which we're going to find out in a minute, I think his social standing is falling through the floor by the minute.
Oh yeah, we might have to adjust some stats. Yes, indeed. It could be a rough one. We'll see how it goes.
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to have you in here, isn't it, everyone? It's lovely. We miss him on our video game nights, and it's a joy to have him.
Oh, you're too kind.
Next man up, and the last man with us is. It's important that we announce him last because we're sort of leveling up to the smartest man in the room, the smartest man in any room. He lives his entire life in the Twin Peaks dream sequence. He has a part-time job breaking into women's houses and leaving boxes of milk tray on their bedstands. Do people still have bedstands? That seems like a very 70s thing as well.
It does.
Yeah. That's where he leaves them, given half the chance.
Milk tray.
It is
It's
so much milk tray coming in. It is our referee for the evening. It is the most beloved of all. It is Ben. Good evening, Ben. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. Yes, weirdly, I was feeling under the weather yesterday, but I'm largely recovered.
I'm glad. It's like you passed it on to you.
Well, I hope not. That would be both sad and quite disturbing, given that we haven't actually seen each other in a while.
It's a computer virus.
Mhm.
What have you been up to much though, then, apart from being feeling sad with yourself, feeling a bit grumpy and ill and tired?
I've been busy sort of prepping some stuff for this weekend and in a broader sense for the stream. And I did take the opportunity to catch a play yesterday, which was very nice.
That is nice. What did you go and see?
I went to see The Seagull
Hmm.
on the sort of National Theatre's cinema re-streaming service thing, you know.
Oh, lovely. When you said a seagull, I briefly thought you just totally lost it and you just went and sat at the beach and stared. Like
No, the
forlornly.
Chekhov seagull, not just a random
Just a random
seagull.
seagull. Oh.
A
The
one
temperature,
bird show.
the temperature's a bit high. You've got a bit funny. Got a bit delirious. Oh, the seagull. Did you enjoy it though? Was it good?
It was good. Yes, it was very good. And Emilia Clarke, who played the young ingenue character in it, was excellent.
Oh, fantastic. That sounds like a win-win. Well, I hope you're feeling fully sort of theatrically reinvigorated and ready to lead us in our own little tale of violence and not
Well,
many
it has
seagulls.
certainly inspired me somewhat towards what we're doing tomorrow night, which we'll come to later,
Fantastic.
which Ewan already knows, but I'll let you in on the secret.
Yeah.
So, where did we leave off? Well, our story resumes aboard the Seamstress, part liner, part stadium, where our heroes are escorting a controversial group of cultists to Geeka. Their first problem with their temporary employers arose when the group took possession of a young girl, Leah Hivia, a psionic, and they've sought the help of a Zodani ally with that matter. Their second problem arose just as the ship began its jump. An unidentified attacker went after the cult, known as the Geeka Diaspora, in the hot tub area of the ship. None of the diaspora were hurt, but Kat was slightly injured and Rose was hurt quite badly. Investigating the attacker, the travellers found an empty stateroom with a nasty trap set for anyone investigating. They reported in to Olivia Sharp, League Security Chief aboard, and took the opportunity to play a game of Izixa, a strategic board game. A third problem with the diaspora has also arisen. They are expecting to be able to return to the Herrenhal, an island on Geeka, but this island has been forbidden by the Imperial Navy for some unknown reason. Olivia Sharp, over the Izixa board, was able to tell them that Herrenhal is indeed forbidden, though a special exemption is made for the annual Pelago race, which takes place just after the Seamstress arrives at Geeka. Returning to the diaspora's quarters, the travellers witness a firebombing of the lift shaft. Luckily, nobody was hurt too badly, though Zoe was burnt. Pursuing the attacker, a man Agnar recognised from earlier on the cruise, Soraya, Agnar and Zoe captured him and took him down into the emergency tunnels by the outer skin of the ship. There they threatened and tortured him until he eventually said, "We are the faithful. I can't fail." And that is where we resume the story.
Agnar will turn to Zoe and they say, "Well, it looks to me as though you have failed. So what happens to you now?"
Roll a persuade for me with social, please.
Oh.
Wonderful. That's a good start. That's 10 on the dice plus 2 for social. I believe that's a -3 for persuade, so it's a 9.
Okay. The guy is looking quite pained. There's a strained expression on his face. He's not currently being tortured, so the sort of pain in his arm is now a dull throb rather than screaming agony. But he's clearly suffering a little bit, and he takes a moment, swallows a couple of times to sort of get his breath, and then he says, "You don't understand. You can't understand."
I mean, we can't understand if you don't explain yourself. Nagna will look over to Zoe. Do you want to do the honours?
There's a positively disturbing looking grin on Zoe's face.
As he's
And-
saying this, though, sorry, he'll pull out a little sphere from his pocket and stand close to the guy and click a little button on the sphere. Which is not something he's used in a long time, Ben, but it is his sphere of silence, which gives a 5-meter radius of silence.
Oh, very good. Okay.
I'm not sure whether anyone would have heard anything, but it's got to be a bit unnerving to be screaming and not hearing anything.
Oh, the sphere! I like the sphere of silence. It's the first time it's being used when it's not been Kara singing.
Yeah,
which I appreciate.
I think so.
This is definitely a very good use for the sphere of silence. I agree. Okay. You see this grin on Zoe's face, and she leans forward, and immediately the guy is clearly trying to say something. He is desperately trying to say something. It isn't clear whether or not he's just begging her not to hurt him anymore, or if he's actually trying to say something meaningful.
Agnar can't read lips. He had people do that for him in the army.
Of course. And she sort of reaches out towards him, sees what he's doing, and then looks up and nods to Agnar without actually touching the guy.
And Agnar will turn it off.
This time he is bubbling all over himself to be explanatory. And he says that there are 3 trials. I don't know all the details, but there are 3 trials, and this is one of them, the trial of fire. I just had to do the trial of fire.
So you don't have to do the other 3, the other 2.
I don't know the other 2.
What about your friend? What was their name? The attacker from earlier. And Agnar will say room number, and he'll list off whatever room number they were given. I forget. Sorry.
I don't know. I don't know him.
Who gives you the trials?
It's our sacred duty.
To whom?
To our faith, not to a person, to our tradition.
So who teaches you your tradition? How long have you been a member of this faith, the faithful?
I was taken aside and exiled 3 years ago, and told that this would be my time when I could deliver my part of the prophecy.
You were told 3 years ago that on this ship that there would be a specific target for you to fulfill your part of the prophecy?
Not this ship, this pilgrimage.
Okay, that makes more sense. What do you think, Zoe? Do you believe him?
She winces a little bit as she flexes her back where she got burnt. And she says, I don't care. I just want to hurt him some more.
I suppose I've got one more question.
Oh, hang on. Okay.
Are you putting up? what I think you're putting up. I suppose I've got one more question, and then I'll just turn my friend here back on, and Zoe can do whatever she wants, unless you've got any more interesting information. I saw you earlier. You looked a bit suspicious, like you were following me. Why didn't you take your moment then?
The first trial hadn't happened then. I had to wait until the trial of water and then the trial of fire.
And then after your trial, the third trial.
That is what I've been told.
Water, fire, earth or air is the next.
Air.
Agnar kind of looks with an unusual sense of fear, I suppose, towards Zoe, and sort of looks around at the. It's not the hull of the ship, but the surroundings of the corridor that they're in. That sounds pretty disturbing, if I'm honest, Zoe. I don't like the idea of a trial of air on a spaceship.
I take your point.
I mean, Earth wouldn't be much better. if I'm honest.
Earth could be bad.
Really catastrophic. So you're saying any time from now, because the second trial's happened, right? Or do you have to be dead before the third one can begin? Is that the end of the trial?
The trial of fire is over.
Okay. Well, I think that's all we need to know. Unless you've got anything, Zoe. And Agnar holds up the spear.
Zoe thinks for a moment and then slowly shakes her head and says, so do we deliver him to Sharp alive? Or did he accidentally die?
No, definitely. And Agnar pauses for quite some time. Definitely alive, I think.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, sure.
Unless you've any more useful information, of course, he says to the person.
The guy seems to be trying to not just blurt out his entire life story at the moment. He's quite intimidated.
No, okay. And Agnar turns to Zoe. So, shall we You've got some way before the next door. And Agnar clicks the.
All right. Zoe picks the guy sort of up from where he's slouched against the side of the corridor, and picks him up with sufficient enthusiasm that he sort of bangs into the corridor on the other side. It's likely he let out some form of howl at this treatment, but you didn't hear it. And she starts the process of marching him back towards the entrance onto the concourse.
Wonderful. Agnar will stick close until they get to the entrance, and then he'll visibly, to Zoe, switch off the sphere of silence again and open up the door, I guess.
The guy's whimpering a little bit. He's cradling his broken arm with his other one. But the broken arm itself, I mean, he was in the process of trying to set off a firebomb in a lift with you guys in it at the time. I don't think he has too much to complain about with the injury. It was the subsequent torture that rather opened his eyes to how much pain could be coming due to this.
Well, if you try and kill our poor old biologist who's just trying to do a job, I can't help but feel we're going to take it personally.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just moments later that you arrive back at the top of the lift shaft and out on the concourse, where the crowds have mostly dispersed. There are a couple of people still standing around. There's a story about that, folks. There are people still clustered all around the area, but they're not really paying attention. There are only one or two who occasionally glance your way. You are, however, confronted almost immediately with a couple of Sharp's security officers who walk over, and one of them immediately says to Agnar, "This the attacker?"
This is them. Yes, we need to get through to Sharp ASAP. This was just the second of three potential attacks.
The guy nods shortly and says, "Good to know. Better if you'd said that not on a crowded concourse full of passengers, but still, good to know."
Yeah, Agnar's definitely not in that frame of mind.
He's just goal
mostly able
oriented
to
now.
talk loosely around, people in the staff room full of military professionals. Yes. Sorry. Is there somewhere private we could either communicate with Sharp or go see her? I suppose you want this person.
I think we should take custody. Yes. Is his arm injured? Zoe immediately says, "Nope." As they grab him, and he lets this sort of wail before they realise that it is in fact hurt. Sorry, I meant yes.
Yeah, we're sorry, we hadn't had a chance to check him over entirely. We were busy trying to find out information about who he's working with.
Of course. Well, let's get him to the security office. And they start the process of basically frog marching him, one on each side, down towards the bow of the ship and towards the security office. And obviously you can go with if you wish.
Zoe, have you got anything? Do you want to come? I'm going to go. I think it's important to relay some of this to Sharp. You're welcome to join, obviously, but if you'd rather not, I'm sure there's other things that could be done.
So he says, I think I'll go check on the quarters if that's okay. They might be able to use another pair of eyes.
Yeah. If you find somewhere secluded, could you relay this to Soraya or Kara or both? Everyone. Tell everyone. But not in a crowded place, obviously. What kind of
Not in a crowded place.
No.
Sure.
Thank you. Perfect. And Agnar will follow the security.
Okay. So, as you make your way through the crowd, the two security guys frog marching a person between them all the way to the front, that does attract just a little bit more just a little bit more attention, but not an enormous amount. Most of the people who are coming who see this little procession, they're not familiar with whether or not the guy was just a random drunkard who's being policed off to the cells or something more serious. They don't have any direct connection. But there are one or two as you go past the sort of top of the lift shaft, or you can see it through through the around the curve of the ship, and you can see a few people sort of mopping up the frozen nitrogen that was used as a extinguisher, because obviously it left after being fired at the fire. It left a slick, icy surface, and they're now clearing that up. And in that location, there are a few people standing around, sort of pointing and chatting. Hey, Croy. There are a few people standing around, pointing and chatting about this scene. They are distracted a little bit by that, and therefore not paying attention to the person being marched through, and they don't necessarily connect the two events together. It all happened very fast, and suddenly there was just a lot of running, and they didn't necessarily know why there was a lot of running, other than a lot of people seemed to be running away from the dangerously hot fire that was burning suddenly. So as a straightforward process, a couple of people do sort of look curiously at the person being marched, but a quick glare from one of the security officers, and they go about their business without any actual prompting. It's not that many minutes before you arrive at the front of the security office. Head down the lift through the hot tub area and into that security corridor, and off to one side there is a sort of passageway which the two security officers march this chap down, and as they do, they say, I'm sure you can speak to the chief if you need to. You shouldn't come beyond this point, though. This is secure prisoner accommodation.
Agnar kind of looks a little bit taken aback by that. Dusts himself off, but yeah, sure, of course, thank you. I'll go speak to Sharp. Thanks for your help. And he'll wander down the corridor.
Okay. The door to Sharp's office is open, and she's actually on a communicator as you arrive, but she glances up and waves you in. You can hear her chatting with someone, presumably from the tone of voice, presumably a subordinate. And she says, yes, I need a report on the fire within the hour. I need to be able to put any suggestion of a risk to the ship going forward to bed immediately. And we need to put something out on the internal comms system announcing that it was a reckless demonstration, but that there was no danger to anyone aboard. Is that clear? Okay. All right. So that's what your report's going to say. Yes, your official report is going to say there was no danger to anyone. Exactly. I don't care. It's going to say there was no danger to anyone. Thank you. She hangs up and says, have a seat.
Thank you. Agnar will take a seat. Sorry to interrupt. Presumably, you heard about the explosion and the fire.
Heard about. Yeah, heard about.
All because
Saw,
they love
maybe.
milk tray.
Heard about. Definitely heard about.
So no doubt you saw us as well. And you saw us take chase. Or at least some more.
Yes, I did spot that. I spotted you pursuing, then catching, and then for reasons that I'm sure are your own, taking the person down into an accommodation area.
Yes, they injured their arm, and we wanted to find somewhere secluded to try and treat it, but it was beyond my skill. And he sort of gives her a little.
I see.
nod.
Well, that's certainly what my official report will say.
In exchange for the help, though, they have offered up some information. We've found out that they are part of the faithful. It doesn't mean anything to me, but I thought perhaps it did to you. And that also this was the second of 3 trials, something about fulfilling a prophecy. The first being the trial of water, which I assume is related to hot tubs. The second being the trial of fire, and the third, the trial of air.
Air, you say?
Worries me somewhat.
Yeah. Yeah, air doesn't sound good. I mean, to be fair, fire doesn't sound that good, but air. Yeah, air could be a problem. We need that.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of air on a ship like this, and there's not a lot of air outside a ship like this.
You're clearly right about that. So we're looking for one more attack on the Geeka diaspora.
As far as I'm aware, that is what was implied. At least one more. I would assume one more. I would also assume perhaps I'm going to go out of character. I'm just going to guess a little bit here then. Perhaps something to do with the air ventilation or systems on the ship. Or, I mean, I dread to think of the other option, obviously.
We have redundant systems. The outer skin of the ship is locked away behind multiple doors, and they automatically close if there's a breach. So, in theory, it would be hard to kill everyone aboard by cracking the hull. But any space on the ship, if you hack the right system or fry the right circuit, could theoretically become toxic or just run out of oxygen.
Or, I mean, they seem to, judging off the first 2 attacks, obviously, both explosive. One with fire, one in an area of water. Seems very I don't want to say this in the wrong way because obviously they're horrific attacks, but it seems very small scale in the grand scheme of things. They're just going to crawl through an air vent and try and blow them up that way. Or does it depend on? He seemed to have no knowledge of the first person, at least. So perhaps it depends on the intellect of the chosen.
I mean, if it's like the second one, fire was the manner of the attack.
Yeah.
The first one, I guess, water is the place of the attack. So where on the ship has the most air? Well, that's the main concourse and the buckyball pitch above it. But that's a huge area. I mean, that could be a truly vast area to patrol and protect.
Hmm. It also strikes me as a little bit odd. They mentioned a prophecy and that they were told 3 years ago about this pilgrimage and that this would be their chance. Now, I understand, obviously, the nature of the fire attack. It would have been quite easy to plan that far in advance, or at least, even to prophesize that somebody might kill somebody with a fire. But killing them with water or at water on a space vessel such as this seems a bit obscure. What were they going to do if there was no, if the hot tubs were out of action, or there's a problem with the heating in them and the whole area was closed? They just can turn on a tap in a room after blowing them up. Seems odd.
It's a good question.
Probably an afterthought, if I'm honest.
It's a good question. Maybe they knew the symbolism of the word, but it wasn't until they realized there was going to be a huge field of hot tubs that they decided that was where the attack would take place.
Mm.
Whoever they are.
Yes, that was something that they were very they weren't very keen to divulge names or people, whether the first attacker or or indeed who they got their instructions from, other than being part of the faithful, and it was their faith, and that is what they were going to fulfill.
So you think we're looking at two different religions currently at war? That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, I think so. The faith, or the diaspora, and the faithful, whoever they may be. I know Cara is doing some research. I can't remember what on, but she's definitely got some information on the diaspora. I can ask her to have a look at it, but I don't know how quick or how useful that will be, and how urgent we need to do something. Obviously, we're up our protection, I suppose, and get as many available hands as possible around the diaspora at this time.
We'll get on with trying to identify the guy and find out everything we can about his ticket and his room and his trip.
Thank you. He is. Did I say he's two of your guys have just taken him through? I assume they picked us all up.
Yeah, they let me know.
Good.
And this one's alive, so you never know. We might get some information out of him.
Well, I'm going to be honest. They didn't seem like the kind to give up any useful information. It probably seemed useful to them, but you're obviously more experienced at this than I am. But
well, possibly. More importantly, I'm particularly goal-oriented since I'm personally responsible for the security of this ship.
Yeah. Speaking of which, bit of an awkward subject. Firstly, awkward because I overheard a bit of your conversation as I was walking in. I apologise. Secondly, awkward because I may have mentioned a third attack to your two officers out on the concourse. There weren't many people around, but just so you're aware. I apologise. It seemed like an important bit of information to get out at the time.
Well, I suppose I should be grateful you didn't put it out over the tannoy.
Mm. Yes, yeah. I mean, Kara would have been blogging about it. You know what she's like.
Yes. Yes.
So lessons learned, and we can all be thankful.
Yeah, absolutely.
It won't happen again.
I'm weirdly confident that after suffering a second terrorist attack on board my ship and discovering there's about to be a third, you're not going to reveal that specific information in public again. Yes. Yeah, I feel confident in asserting you're probably right.
Good. Right. Thank you. I'll get back to the team. If you hear anything, please do let us know if you find out anything else. We'll obviously do the same. Keep in touch. And thank you for the game earlier as well, by the way. Funnily enough, I was on my way to buy, one of those tacky ones that you were mentioning about the ship, just to tide me over till we got to the good stuff on Geeker. But alas, I found myself in the middle of this.
Well, I mean, you're welcome, and I'm increasingly looking forward to some time off on Geeker.
Yeah, well earned. Definitely. Right. Thank you. Goodbye.
Okay. You make your way out?
Yeah, when he's in the hallway before he exits the security area, he'll send a group message and he'll just say, I don't know how many of you are aware a second attack on the diaspora has happened. Could be a third. Can everyone, anybody who's able, assemble at their quarters? Might need to up security for a period.
Okay.
And then he'll message Kara privately. And I'll just say, Kara, the group attacking or undergoing the attacks. So they mentioned the faithful. Can you see if you can reference anything about
that? She responds with a thumbs
Please.
up. With a thumbs up.
He'll send someone right back. And then he'll make his way towards the diaspora's living quarters.
Okay. All right. Now, is anybody else doing anything during his meanderings?
Both of mine are doing something. We'll run them past you, and you can decide whether what they're doing is of note, I guess.
All
so,
right.
of course, Soraya will have when Agnar and Zoe took off this poor man to do unspeakable horrors to, and she managed to drag off some of the crowds to Duke. Was it Duke's? I can't remember.
Yep.
Yeah, for drinks to ease it.
Oh, sorry, it's Kookaburra this time.
Kookaburra. She should have been there. She'd have had a few, and sort of as the game got going again after lunch, she'd have decided to stay in that bar area and just chat with any if they were just sort of starting off how things are going, how's the game, and this and that. But then she wants to see if there's any that hang around after the game starts. I'm guessing some wander off to their seats and so on. But does anyone stay as it quietens down a little bit?
Yeah, a couple of them will stick around, partly because they've been offered a free drink, you understand, and what have you, and they're sort of slightly optimistic about being offered a second. But also there are people who didn't really have anything in particular to do, and one of them is clearly sticking around in case something genuinely interesting happens.
So she'll wait until like the real hangers on have gone, and then she's got a little table of like 2 or 3 or whatever, and sort of the game's going on. She'll finish off her drink and she'll look to them and she'll say, "Well, I'm going to stay for another. Does anyone want to stay if I get another round in? Does anyone want another?"
Yeah, that sounds great.
Lunchtime drinking just feels better when you're on holiday, doesn't it?
You're not wrong.
When you're at work, some bosses tend to look down on it, but when you're on holiday, they can't do anything about it. Mimosas for all?
Mimosa, good, yes.
Excellent. Sorrel wanders over to the bar. Smiles at the Tim. Hey Tim, how are you?
Well, thank you. What can I do you for?
I could. You speak so good. Can I have? Have I got 3 with me, Ben? Would you say 2, 3?
There'll be 2 with you at this point.
Could I get 6 mimosas, please?
Of course.
How much would that cost me, my good Tim?
About 24.
Oh, 24. Oh no. I've just rubbed through the paper. Time for a change. I can't spend any more money. That's it. I've got to stop.
That's the problem with long campaigns. The paper just can't wear it.
She'll say, "Can I have a receipt with that, please, Tim? Can I have a receipt with that?"
Of course.
Thank
He
you.
blats one across to your communicator.
Lovely. And she immediately sends it off to Agnar to say, with a message of, this was to buy you some time. And just pings it off to him, and then
he'll fire one back and just say, check what I just said in the group chat, and then he'll transfer over. What was it, 24? Yeah, we can do that, can't we? We can just.
Oh yes, you can move money around pretty simply.
rub out
it is at least in theory something that can be tracked by the authorities if they need to, but we're talking about tiny transactions here.
Yeah, cool.
She'll pile the mimosas onto a tray and carefully ease them over back to the table. And,
excellent.
Passes out 2 each to them. There you go. This will keep you guys going, I hope.
Fantastic. They both say thank you, and then one of them immediately starts quite seriously drinking his way through it, while the woman at the table clinks a glass and sips more casually and starts chatting, asking whether this is your first time on a buckyball cruise and what on earth happened back there is the eventual end of the conversation. But she starts out with some more circumspect chatting.
My first time on a buckyball cruise, did you say? Well, funny you should mention that. Have you heard of you must know the Geek of Geeks.
Of course.
Now, the last cruise, I was here on a cruise just 2 weeks ago, with my beloved Geek of Geeks, and you see, I played in the fan game. Look, and she goes into her pocket and pulls out the team photo from the fan game. There I am. Look, I got the wickets, I got the runs, I got everything. I was the star of the game.
Fantastic.
I know, and you know the old toss off at the start where you throw the balls to each other. I even won there. I even took their captain for a Burton. I totally did him with my toss. It was a wonderful thing. You are talking to a bona fide buckyball legend, it must be said. I don't like to toot my own horn, of course, but
That's fantastic, and that's why you're on the trip, of course, to enjoy the buckyball.
Of course, she's like, here you are. Look, here's my signed hollow card of Achilles von Cotswolds, the Geeks legend. Look at this, see?
Very impressive.
Thank you very much. I'm a big fan, and I can put in a good word for you if ever you want to watch a Geeks game. I don't know if you care for the Geeks at all. Clearly, they're not your number one team, but
I mean, I'd like to see one. I've never had the opportunity to see them play live, of course.
they have the best mascots, I tell you. Big fishmen.
The fish, yes.
I got to dress as a fish as well, and I got to shoot across the Hello Turfs dressed as a fish. I've done it all.
It really does sound like you embedded yourself thoroughly into the sport.
When they next year, when the new Imperial dictionary comes out, and Buckyball is in there, there'll be a picture of me there, giving the old thumbs up. I love this sport.
So what happened earlier? I mean, you were chasing down this guy and then dragging him off somewhere. What was that all about?
Well, were you in this crowd? So I sort of happened upon it as much as anything. Were you in this crowd that was gathering at all?
Well, saw you you attack the guy and then drag him away, and then, well, your mates, they marched him off, and you started talking to us. That's I just don't know why you attacked the guy. I mean, I'm guessing maybe he was a Dillabrew fan.
No, you see, I quite like Dillabrew now. I own a business on Dillabrew. Have I ever told you about my business on Dillabrew? We could talk about that later. If you ever want
Okay.
she reaches simples at a badly sketched one that she's drawn herself, a really bad business card. If you ever go to Dillabrew and want and you want to go around on safari, see some Moabs, just hand this over. Say Soraya sent you. But anyway, no, I like Dillabrew. Now, I'm a woman of peace. Anyone that knows me knows this. And she shouts out to the bar, Tim, I'm a woman of peace, aren't I, Tim?
You say so.
See, even Tim knows I'm a woman of peace. This guy, I don't know if you saw, he threw something at my friends. He
threw something.
He started a ruckus. Now that's not becoming of a cruise like this, is it?
Well, I should say not.
He injured my friend. So on my glorious buckyball day, a good friend of mine, you saw him in the photo actually. He was also there, and he came in as a substitute, and he went above and beyond himself, and he was one of those that got injured in this whole thing. And when your friend, your teammate, gets injured, you know, it's just not right, is it? By just someone throwing something like that.
It sounds awful.
Really terrible. And then my other friend, you saw my female friend as well. She got hurt with it as well. And so, despite being a woman of peace, it's enough to turn you into, that moment. You know that moment when you're looking out for your friends.
Oh, I know that well. It's if you've got your people, your group, your circle, then you'd do anything for them.
Oh, absolutely. And did you see my floofy friends as well? I'd do anything for his floofiness, you know.
I mean, sure, he was mostly armoured.
There's floofiness under there. He's keeping it covered because he's carrying a lot of static electricity at the minute.
Of course.
But that's a whole other story. But that happens when you're a Varga, of course, from time to time. Just walk across the carpet too long, and it'll happen. But that's why we jumped on the guy, and but I'm a woman of peace, and so I think the two of them were taking him off to security.
So why would somebody throw something at your friend?
I don't know. Maybe he's a bit racist. Maybe he's a bit drunk. Maybe he's just one of those people. You run into those people these days. Like there's been a couple of violent things on this cruise, hasn't there?
You're not wrong. Unusual, I think,
Oh, there
for
was,
these kinds of liners.
yeah, like I've been on these liners before, and I've never ever known any kind of violence on the Seamstress. Never, none at all until this time.
I believe you.
Yeah, I'm a truthful woman. I have no reason to lie. So, what did you make of it? What were you thinking of it at the time?
I must confess, I was quite shocked.
Have you heard rumours of a cult on the ship?
Can you roll a persuade for me, please, with intellect?
Oh, I can. How classy is this woman, by the way, before I decide my approach on things for the future?
Nothing about her implies anything particularly unusual. She doesn't come across as unusually highbrow, but equally she seems regular middle class kind of person, you know?
Oh no, out of my league already with regards to social skills, and I'm just impressed I haven't started dribbling on my feet yet. But here we go. Still early in the day, I guess. That's a really good roll to start the night, actually. That's an 11 plus 2 is a 13.
Okay. She says, I hadn't been paying much attention to fellow passengers, but when you initially used the word cult, a flash of real annoyance crossed her face. She didn't like the use of that word.
Sarai pointedly stops and sort of stares at the woman's face and says, would you prefer if I said the word believer? Sorry, I didn't mean to be so brusque.
No, of course, it's fine. It's no matter to me.
It just seemed that you got them those little frowny bits between your eyebrows, you know. I didn't want to cause upset, you know, having a nice drink, you know. I didn't want to speak wrongly, you know. Sometimes I pick the wrong words, you know. I'm used to spending a lot of time just talking to myself, you know, on a ship on my own. So sometimes I just use the wrong words, and I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to upset you.
And no, of course, it's nothing. Must be. I don't know. Anyway, I should probably get going. And she takes a long draught of her mimosa and gets up to leave.
Lovely to meet you, though. Soraya holds out her hand. It says, "What's your name? Sorry, mine was Soraya."
It's, Ferrily.
How are we spelling that?
Ferili.
Ferlei.
Ferili. Ferrily.
Oh my goodness. Ferrily. Sarah smiles at her and holds out her hand to do a big shake. Says, "It's nice to meet you, Ferrily." And then she sort of winks at her and she says, "If that's indeed your real name." And then they sort of lets out a big hearty laugh at it.
Can you roll a deception with intellect for me, please.
I can. Oh, it's a +1 for intellect and -1 for deception. And whatever it was, I failed badly. It's a 3.
Okay. She lets you have a quick flash of a smile, and then turns her back and walks away swiftly.
Peculiar. Is the other guy still with us? Is the other guy still there?
Yeah, and he's just swallowing his drink, glancing up at the pitch every now and then, and seemingly not paying that much attention to the conversation.
You know that woman at all? Is she just some random to you?
He glances across and gives you sort of a soft and gentle, rather aimless smile and says, "Woman?"
Well, says she's still got one mimosa left, so she slides that one over to him.
Okay.
And she sort of taps him on the shoulder, and she says, "You have a good afternoon, all right? You enjoy the rest of the game. Maybe I'll catch you in here again at some point. Up the geeks."
Sure, any time. And I can't really say up the geeks. I'm not a geeker fan. I'm sorry.
Come on, just try it out. You might like it. She laughs.
That's what I'm afraid of.
She laughs and she wanders off with a wave. And her plan is she messages Agnar saying, "I'm on my way."
Okay.
See, as for Kara, what Kara set Kara doing a while back was she had gone back to the room to research on stuff, and she had gone to research on things which we've worked out since then. Anyway, I feel, but she's going to look anyway. She wanted to check the listings of people. But I'll tell you what, actually, we can make something of this, because as Sarai will go, she will message Kara and say, "Check if there's a Ferrelly on board."
Okay.
Nice.
So
can you roll an electronics computers check for me, please? You can have Boone for this. You've already done much of the work.
Thank you. So otherwise, I feel Kara's just been doing doing stuff. So electronics, computers, with either intellect or education is always the way, isn't it? With the
yeah, intellect in this case, I suspect.
Yep. Okay. So it's a +3 and a Boone. Okay, cool. Thank you. Well, this might be one of those where the Boone helps.
Okay.
Because it's a 1, 3, and 4, but then there's a +3 to that, so that becomes a 10.
Okay. As far as you can tell, there is only one person with the name Ferrelly on board the ship. It's Ferrelly Harman, Harman.
Harman. Oh, I grew up with the Harmans just down the road from me. I played with them all the time. Went round the house to play football with them. That's so lovely. What a nice flashback, Ben. Thank you.
And she is traveling alone and has quarters on the ship.
And so now I know where the quarters are, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Where are the quarters about?
Not actually very far from Kookaburras. They are around the corner. In fact, this whole area where you sort of found her after collecting the assailant and then followed her to Kookaburras, or took her to Kookaburras, it's all within less than 100 meters of her space.
Oh. Very interesting. Kara smiles. She's managed to gather loads of information on the race, She's remembered all the stuff about Pramus. She's so proud. She's pretty certain she's the only one that could have known and worked that out over the last hour she's been in there. She's armed with all the information she could have, and this little bit of throwaway information about this Ferrelly. So she gathers up all her notes and heads to the shared space to meet the rest of them.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, just quickly. Who was on currently on guard at the shared space?
Right now, it's officially Agnar and Kat who are on shift. Obviously, Agnar has been busy doing other things, but Kat has been on shift, and Zoe's turned up to help her a bit.
Okay, cool, perfect. I imagine Stefan was probably getting some sleep. Heard a little buzz.
I believe so.
He's not slept much over the last couple of days, Stefan. He seems to be the one that is staying up the whole time.
Yeah, he didn't sleep much at all. I don't honestly, I don't know. He's a reasonably heavy sleeper. I don't know whether he would have heard any of the messages or cared. He would definitely care if he saw them. But probably not at the first. Probably not at one message coming through. Probably wouldn't wake him up, in all honesty. Sorry.
No, that's right. She's
Okay.
important to know. Well, Soraya knows that she's next on shift. She's got poor old Rick, if he's recovered okay, if he's not too stressed.
Yep. And I mean, one of the things that Zoe will have done is checked in with Rick and made sure he's functional. And he is. I mean, he wasn't injured at all. And he was a bit surprised. And he's got that thing where he sort of can imagine how bad that could have been if the shot had gone in through the lift doors just as they were closing. That could have really been very dangerous. But he has, it's merely the fear of it. So I suppose it's kind of like a near miss on the road, if you know what I mean, where he's now replaying in his head, wow, that was close. But because he wasn't actually hurt, he's okay.
Of course.
Good stuff.
Cara wanders out of party corner, as the room is, and past, I guess, Rick and Zoe in the room with Zoe checking him out. She doesn't really know what's been going on, so she got the message. But she sort of nods at him. You all right, Rick? You okay?
Yeah, thanks.
Maybe next time they'll hit you, mate.
Great. Look forward to it.
She laughs and gives him like a little side squeeze around his shoulders. She's like, you're all right. With any luck, it'll be Agnar. And sort of cackles and wanders off into Jock's corner to bang on the door to try and wake Stefan up.
Okay.
Stefan! I know you're in there. I saw you go in about 90 minutes ago. Stefan!
Stefan will come to the door wearing a bed sheet draped over him. Toga, I'm sure you've got Hero Forge from that, Luke.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I was trying to sleep. What do you want?
Just checking you're okay, Stefan. You all right? You sleeping okay?
Yeah. I'm tired, but I'm okay. I got a bit of sleep. What's going on?
There's stuff happening, but we probably don't need you. But I just thought you should know. Things have happened. People have got hurt. Some people have been tortured from the sounds of it. And Soraya's found a suspicious person that we might have to check out at some point. But we're probably okay without you. We'll keep Agnar going for another 12 hours. We'll pump him full of coffee.
That kind of sounds like you're not going to be okay.
Right, how long have you had in bed?
I've lost track. That's not what the 2 to 3 nights on my notes is. No way. Sorry, we were talking post-stream about the randomness and uselessness of my notes. Look, I tell you what, I've got to get ready anyway. Give me an hour and I'll be up there. I'll get a bit more sleep and I'll get ready and I'll come up.
Oh, you do that. You're a star. You're not on next anyway, so get another hour. Yeah, you can have a little run around before your next shift.
Yeah, cool. I'll see you up there in a bit. Just tell him I'm getting dressed.
I will do. Okay.
Soraya knows how long it takes me to get ready.
Yeah, so I've heard.
Mm.
I mean, I'm no Agnar, but
Although your chest is looking quite hairy these days, Stefan. You changed your diet.
pulls up the sheet.
It's nothing to be ashamed of. There's some. It used to be quite a sexy look back in the day
Look,
on
go
Terror.
on,
I've heard.
There's urgency and emergencies going on, and you're
should
stood
grow one
here
of those
talking
big
about my chest hair.
You should grow a big thick moustache to go with it, Stefan. How are you with moustaches?
Quite light
Give
on the facial hair front.
Give it a go. You know me. I know the trends. I know the fashions. I know the styles. And I didn't do you wrong with the red skiing suit, did I?
That's true. I tell you what, where are we heading on our long trek on the Baltic Star?
Everywhere.
What's the final destination?
We don't know.
Oh.
Death, probably.
Well, that's not a bit.
But I've had
going to come up with some kind of catchy phrase or hashtag. I know how you love your hashtags. Hashtag no shave till ... wherever the final destination is. Well, we'll see. I'll give it a go. Go on. You go see everyone else.
Good man. You get dressed well, okay? See you in a bit.
Thanks.
She closes the door and wanders back, makes herself a hot drink, plops herself down next to Rick, and waits for everyone else to turn up.
Okay.
Stefan sets an alarm for an hour.
Right. Yes. All right. So he's going to wait another hour. All right. Well, as we're just waiting for everyone to assemble, this seems like a good time to take our break.
It does, doesn't it? So let's do that then.
It does indeed.
For you guys watching, we're going to vanish off for 5 minutes for our ablutions and to fill our glasses and whatever we need to do. So recommend you do the same. Please hang around. It is the toast after, which is the most important moment of every stream. So come back in 5 minutes with your glass or mug full of whatever you are drinking, and we will see you then. Hang on, I've done it the wrong way. Hang on, we click that, and we do that, then we do that, that. See you all in a few. Okay, we're done. Yeah, I got really lost. I suddenly had a moment because I haven't done it for a while. What? Where is everything? Cool. Good stuff. Oh no. We don't want them to be. That's something you've got to do to get rid of those people. Yeah. You can still hear me. I clicked the wrong thing. At least I didn't say how much I hated you lot. Hi, we're back, and Ben is doing the speech, so I'll hand over to him. We're using customized setup. If anyone hasn't noticed, can't get rid of that. It's very annoying. Okay, Ben.
Customized setup, Ben. Yes.
Customized setup, Ben.
It falls to me tonight to make a toast, an important tradition among we boys from the Baltic Star. Greyhill Bast, barman, steward, friend, former spy, was a man who could always find an excuse for a drink or a brunch. He had a command of every holiday, celebration, and tradition that might be used as an excuse. We find ourselves tonight in between the Canadian and the US Thanksgivings. And it's a well-known thing that we in the UK don't have a Thanksgiving of our own. In fact, it's a common meme on the internet used to illustrate the ignorance of those less well-read. They'll find some American student who's never travelled to the UK before and quote them as they ask if we celebrate Thanksgiving here in the UK. Well, of course not. How they mock the foolishness of the foreigner. But here's the thing. They're actually wrong. In the UK, we do celebrate Thanksgiving. In fact, we have an annual celebration that was created by an Act of Parliament in 1605, establishing a Thanksgiving in Britain. This is called the Thanksgiving Act and was signed into law by James I. For more information, come back tomorrow night. I think the reason the British don't call this holiday Thanksgiving anymore is because it sounds a bit, well, formal. And Brits tend towards informality, often mockery, in fact. But across the country this weekend, people will celebrate something we now call Bonfire Night. We light fires, set off fireworks, and we create effigies of traitors and burn them. It's more than likely that a typical British person will never have been told that this holiday was created by the Thanksgiving Act. We'll never know we celebrate our own very bloody Thanksgiving. But it is the sort of thing that Greyhill Bast could summon at a moment's notice to provide an excuse for a toast, a celebration, or even a feast. So it is in that spirit that I ask we raise our glasses, not to celebrate an ancient holiday, but to toast the man himself, the late, great Greyhill Bast.
Great Greyhill Bast.
To Greyhill Bast.
Oh.
Lovely, Ben. Not so lovely, Luke.
Oh, that's. Why do I make myself do that? Oh, well, I'll have you guys over at some point in the
to Greyhill, to Greyhill, to Greyhill.
We'll play a board game and I'll make you drink some of that stuff.
Quite right, Socks. 4 works before fireworks.
To Greyhill.
To Greyhill. Oh man, slurp some cold tea to get rid of that, I think.
Right, so we rejoin the action as our heroes are gathering.
Gathering heroes.
Gathering heroes. We know a book that's almost about that.
like birds on an electricity wire. There's some Baltic Star mermation going on.
In between the crowded gangways of the Seamstress.
Yeah.
Very poetic.
So,
Like
so you are calling together all of the main suspects into a room of some kind.
Exactly. Sadly, we're our own suspects. We're the ones that cause the most trouble.
The usual.
The usual suspects, exactly.
Yeah, I suppose Agnar will say, right, yeah, sorry, I did tell you all to come here, didn't I? There's been a second attack on the diaspora. Soraya, do you know about the first? There was a first attack, and now there's been second.
Soraya knows very much. She's the one that shoved a gun in some guy's face. She went.
Yes.
She rolled over the guy and well, she didn't. She saw everything going on.
You healed somebody as well. I remember.
Not as well as you, Agnar. You are truly the healing hero of all of us. Can we just all have a round of applause, everyone, for Agnar? Gerg, you know, he's one of you now, Gerg. Come on, at the back, thank you.
I was going to stop you and say there's no time, but there's always time.
This isn't one of your fancy military dudes, though. No speeches.
No, there has been a second attack. Are we in private now, Ben?
Yes. So, other than Stefan, the three of you are all here. I assume Kat will have come up from the bottom of the lift shaft to join you. Zoe will be with you. Is there anyone else you want to be there? Is this a sort of general purpose? Anyone who's awake, turn up.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was the general gist of the.
Yeah, what have Gerg and Freya been up to? Hey, Gerg and Freya, what you been up to? Living your best life, doing any of the hard work, avoiding trouble.
Just pootling about, really.
Pootling. We need a viewer Imperial credits thing for pootling.
Pootling away.
Pootling.
Right. Now that the socialization is out of the way.
Pootling.
To business. There, Agner will look around and he'll lower his voice a little bit after the last incident. There is the imminent threat of a third, involving air of some sort. Water, fire. Apparently, air is the next trial by this. I can only assume a rival cult known as the Faithful. So most importantly, I would say, be on the lookout for anybody, who looks a bit out of place on a buckyball cruise, not wearing fan merch. Maybe it's their first time on a cruise. And anything suspicious. I think that's about it. We have obviously informed Sharp. She'll be feeding in any information she can get from the other assailant.
You mean like people wearing Stone Island jumpers or something? They're not really there for the sport, just there for the violence.
I'm not familiar with that style of jumper, but I definitely mean the other part of what you said, yes. Anybody who doesn't look like they're here supporting a team, or doesn't look as though they're into buckyball.
What? What do you mean people here that aren't into buckyball?
I know.
It's the best of all the sports. You remember the other week when I played in that game?
Calm down. That's what makes them suspects.
Has everyone seen this photo? That's where I hold up the photo. Look, I'll tell you what. I did find someone actually. When I managed to drag the people away with the offer of a drink when you were gonna brutally beat up that bloke.
No.
We're all among friends now. We're all among friends.
Go on.
Gerg understands that it was for the greater good. Anyway, so I went back to the Kookaburra, and after a drink, most of them wandered off, and I was left with a couple. One that just wanted to stay for more drinks because he was just getting day drunk, which I respect. I respect that a lot. But the most important was I was chatting with this lady, and she was asking me about what was going on. She seemed very, very interested in that. But then when I mentioned the word cult, and her face went funny. She sort of looked very annoyed in her face, and I was trying to work out what it was all about. Just something that didn't quite fit. So I pinged it over to Cara, her name. And Cara, you did some research. Did you find anything? And she sort of says, Cara. And Cara pulls out a big wad of notes. And he says, well, I found out lots of things today, everyone. Thank you, Soraya. First of all, I remembered, I'm sure no one else has remembered, I remembered who we know that knows something about this, that might know something about this island that has power on the planet of Geeka. I'm sure no one else remembers. I spent a lot of time researching that. And I researched a lot about. There's a race. I don't know if anyone's heard of it, but there's a big race that goes on around Geeka. I'll tell you all about it. I'm sure none of you have ever heard about it. I'll tell you all about it sometime. Agna, you'll love it.
I'm sure I will.
But I'll save all that. She looks very self-important and proud of herself. But I'll leave all that for later. The most important thing for now is there is a lady by the name of Ferrily. Verily, there is a Ferrily on board. Ferrily Harmon. And she is travelling alone, like we've heard of before. And I know where her quarters are, and just within 100 meters of Kookaburras themselves. So if we do think that she's a suspicious character, then might I suggest that is something we could look into.
But more importantly, Soraya, where did you follow them to? Because obviously, you know, their listed quarters doesn't necessarily mean they're sleeping there. Take the last assailant. They didn't look like their room was lived in at all, did it? So you followed them and you found them, and they went to this suspicious character who clearly wasn't meant to be on a buckable ship.
Soraya shrugs, said, "Well, I came straight here, but Kara just said where the room was. That's her room. She might not have been in here the whole ship. She might just be a weirdo. She might just have not liked me, which is hard to believe, but it's possible, I guess. It has been known."
No.
I just said kind. But yeah, that's why I pinged it off to Kara, and Kara does know where it is. We've not been there yet, but it's not too far off. If anyone wanted to go and check it out. We are very good at breaking into rooms, of course.
Yeah, that's a definite idea. Storm in, break down the door, remove any threat.
What's the worst that could happen?
Go for brunch.
You know the way to our hearts too well.
Hands in, team on 3.
Yeah.
Is that what we do now?
Whoa!
No, in all seriousness, what's the plan here?
Are you in charge again now, Agna?
No, I'm not, boss.
This is counting against your employee review.
Have you finished that, by the way?
I have. I'm waiting for a time to report back to you with your final grade for how you've done on the Seamstress.
You're right. Private seems a much better idea than in public.
With this sort of score, yes.
No, sorry. Obviously, over to Sapphire on what our next action is. That's my update.
Well, I think it feels like we might be racing against time somewhat. If water, as you said, was literally last night, less than 12 hours ago now, you know, it's probably about 2 in the afternoon. So about 12 hours ago was water. And a couple of hours ago was fire. We've got to expect that air is going to happen today. You know, we can't assume it's going to be time. So we've got to follow every lead we can. And if that means breaking into rooms of slightly quirky characters, she's probably just darning socks in there. But for the good of what everyone on this ship, you know, there could be deaths. So
There could be.
I fully support going on the front foot about this. I think if we can look up more about this, what did you call it again, Agna?
The Faithful.
The Faithful. And you said that he was sort of like he was kicked out of the original group and like joined another one or something.
Did I say that?
Pulled out. Yeah, well, let's say you did because I heard it, and it's cheating if I had no otherwise. Agnar told a lot of stories.
Of course. He was also worth noting. He was also the person that I saw I wouldn't say following me, but paying undue attention to me at some point previous to the first attack, I believe.
Carl raised
Yes.
an eyebrows. Oh, that guy. Like
Yeah.
when you and I were in the hot tubs and that guy that's following you said.
Yeah. And he also said that he couldn't undergo his attack until the first one had been completed. Trial is what they were called by him.
And now the second trial has been completed. And if this
The
woman has
third
anything
is-
to do with it, she knows the second one's been completed. And maybe, dear Soraya, by you telling her what happens, you've inadvertently loosed her for her trial.
I would say she was probably in the crowd, or at least aware of it. You know, there's been some onboard communication.
Well, I say a lot of us have nothing better to do. Let's. This woman is the lead, isn't she? We've got a bit of time anyway. This woman is our lead. Let's find out what's going on. Agnar, are you happy with this?
Sounds good.
Fantastic.
Who's saying this?
That's Soraya.
Yeah, of course, boss.
Okay, that's good. That's good. That is too late now. Too late trying to brown nose me now. The score's in. You're not going to give yourself an extra half mark with boss this and boss that.
Well, in that case, you, me, and Kara. I'd suggest voluntary for anyone else who wants to come.
Well, I know what she looks like. So if you and Kara have done good work with the doors in the past, I'll keep an eye out around. I'll make sure I know what she's like, and I'll sort of, if I approach it first and bang on the door, but if she's not in, I'll leave it over to you two, and I'll just keep an eye out, And then, if anyone else wants to come and join me.
Do we need to? Should we inform Sharp? Also, on the same point, worth noting that the last door was trapped. I don't know when.
And the last time we did inform Sharp, and she gave her blessing because she likes the idea of us potentially getting killed before her employees. It looks better on her paperwork, probably.
Or at least plausible deniability, and probably less paperwork.
Yeah, Agnar, you're getting on well with her. You give her a call. She likes you. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, as everyone heard, Agnar's going on going to like a race with her when we get to Geeka. They're having like a date together.
Not dates.
Woo!
It was pushed upon me by somebody in the group who will remain unnamed. My superior, in fact. So you may call it that. It's corporate relations or part of my job.
Schmoozing.
Schmoozing.
Woo!
Not that type of schmoozing.
Smooching.
Sorry, I had a few mimosas before my shift. Right, okay. I'll give her a call. Does anyone else want to come?
Everyone else looks around, but no one seems to be volunteering. Of course, you can always instruct them to.
I almost said that as Agnar then. I can't, but Soraya could. Yeah, she's in charge.
Soraya will say, I don't want to force misery onto everyone. Everyone's like chill and happy, and I appreciate that. So why don't the rest of you just enjoy the next couple of hours? Chill out, have a rest, and if we see you, we'll see you. But we'll sort this out, don't worry.
Soraya, it just occurs to me.
Yes.
If these attacks are going on against the diaspora, is it worth adding extra people?
You want to double up the shifts?
Doubling the guards.
Double the guards. That is a very good point. Let me check my guard list.
Round up twice the usual suspects.
Exactly. Because about loads of things we're well chilled, but when it comes to who's in a room and who's on shift, we're well serious. So currently it's kind of just Rose and Zoe's come back and sort of given a hand. Next up would be Agnar and Kat. Rose isn't, of course. Rose is injured, so it's Kat. So it's and next up would be Survivor and Rick. I'll tell you what, Rick, are you okay to jump straight in and do a slightly longer shift as you're not injured and you're just faking it?
Sure.
Good man. I'll go do this, and then I'll come back and join you at the start of our shift if that's okay. So that would be Kat still and Rick. We're short of people otherwise. Stefan's asleep for a bit. Johnny's asleep and he needs it because literally we've mistreated Johnny since we've been on the ship. I think this is his first nap he's had. And that's all we got because Zoe's got to get a break at some point. Zoe's been mistreated as well. And everyone else.
Yeah, after this shift, I think she's going to have to crash for a bit.
So
we went in heavy early on. We're rounding everyone up.
Exactly. We've gone big. We got Zoe, Kat, and Rick for a bit, and then Zoe can take a breather, and Soraya will replace her. Yeah, and then we'll sort of run on threes if people can do that.
Okay, as you're sort of assembling your group, Kat says, there is something a bit weird down there with the diaspora, though. They're happy. I mean, really happy, like euphoric, which seems weird given they've just been the subject of a second attack in a matter of hours.
Drugs. Do Kara thinks it's like this isn't like all some they're having to undergo hardships in order to purify to earn their way to their promised land or something. We're not caught in the middle of like some weird two sides of the same coin for their own personal loving, you know?
You're saying this is members of the faith?
Yeah,
attacking the faith.
But they're like special, they're like special forces faith, you know, dragged off
Sleeper
special
agents.
mission. Yeah. And their job is not necessarily to be part of the they're told that their goal in life is slightly different now, you know. Don't know. If they're buzzing.
I mean, it could very well be. Have we actually spoken to them about?
It might be worth finding out about how they're feeling about what's going on. That's been too. Do they see it as just tribulations, you know?
Some kind of our pilgrimage has to be made hard somehow, and if we make it there, then that is that is as fate decided. It's a very interesting idea, I can all say. But obviously well above my pay grade. Look to Soraya.
She'll say, Stefan was just getting dressed, right, Kara? And Kara will sort of look left and right a bit shiftily. Yeah, apparently so, yeah. So I think, okay. I'll just as we go in, I'll pop in. He's got a really good relationship with the Jasper, isn't he? He's like the Lord of the Feast, isn't he? They respect him. Wasn't he trying to get into the cult earlier, Ragnar? Or something.
There was definitely a conversation had. I don't know how far he got with it, but yeah.
So maybe he is if he's about to wake up anyway, and he's not. Maybe he is the one to go and chat and sort of get a bit snuggle up a bit close. He is the one that's had the most conversations. I've always stayed frosty with them. I've got no interest in them. I don't know about you guys, but him and Johnny seem to have some nice chats. So maybe when Stefan's up, we'll send him down with you, Cat, and we can have a chat around, maybe get some answers. I'll tell you what, forget this. I'm not gonna wait for him to get dressed. And Sarai storms across the room and bangs on pulls the door open.
That's good, because out of character for a minute there, I was going to panic that once again we'd positioned the worst person for the job in the situation. Stefan does not talk well to people. Sorry, do go on.
Sarai pulls open the door to her room, which of course is Stefan's room as well, and storms in, expecting to see Stefan getting dressed.
How long has it been?
How long has it been, Ben, would you say, since?
He's set an alarm for an hour.
Yeah, I mean, it won't be anywhere near an hour. It might be as much as 20 minutes.
He's probably asleep, given the amount of lack of sleep he's got, with device in, or, clock in hand, whatever's going to go off for the alarm, ready to switch it off and jump out of bed.
Sarai puts her head back round the corner and she motions to Cat. Cat, could you come here a second, please?
Sure.
Sarai's going to try and she'll say, look at him. Says, and she'll lift Cat up, if that's okay. Or try to lift Cat up. And then she'll try and throw, from nearly pretty much above the bed, she'll try and throw Cat on top of Stefan.
Can we have a strength plus athletic strength, please?
We can, yes. We'll see. That's going to be +1 -1, it's an 8, flat 8.
Okay. I mean, Cat isn't exactly struggling or anything, so you manage without too much difficulty to hurl her onto the bed. It's not exactly an elegant thing, but she lands sprawling across Stefan. And sure, he wakes up immediately to find Cat is sort of lying half across him and giggling wildly.
Oh, geez. What are you two doing? He immediately pulls the bed sheet over his hairy chest, given the previous conversation with Cara. What is this?
Sarai takes in the extra hairiness of the chest and then sort of shrugs it off. And she goes, "Oh, good. Glad to see you're dressed. So you need to go straight down and speak to the cult. Apparently, you'll find out more along the way. Cat will tell you all about it as you go down. Good luck. See you later. Bye." It's like trying to pull him out and push him out the door.
No,
You're dressed, aren't you? Go on, off you go, Cat. Tell him what's going on.
Well. This is no way to treat management. Hold it right there, Cat. Clearly, somebody spikes my coffee and I've fallen asleep mid getting dressed. I think after we've finished whatever it is we're about to do, we should hold some kind of investigation into the coffee machine. Gestures over to wherever the machine that Carl got a coffee from, I guess. And then see what happened. But just give me 5 minutes and I'll be ready. I'm the Lord of the Feast, after all. I can't go down wrapped in a bedsheet.
Ogre.
That fits you better.
Sarai
leans over to his the dresser and throws his Lord of the Feast headdress at him. So as well, then you better wear this then, hadn't you?
Yeah.
Right, you got 3 minutes.
Thanks. Ushers them out and shuts the door and then gets dressed as quickly as he can. And leaves, holding on to the headdress.
Okay. So are we following Stefan down to the diaspora's area first.
Why not? Let's do that. I'm enjoying Stefan's times.
I assume he'll turn to the others and say, "So what am I asking them?"
Cat will fill you in.
Okay.
Cat says, "It's just they seem really happy and upbeat and optimistic, and not, remotely worried about all of the attacks. That's all I saw."
So you want me to counsel them and see if their grief is coming across in some kind of weird euphoria?
That might be the way to go.
Perfect. It's my speciality, especially after 45 minutes of sleep. Come on then. Let's go see why they're so happy.
All right. So you and Cat set off downstairs. Indeed, the diaspora seem to be going about their business with almost a spring in their step. There's laughter and smiling at each other. They don't seem remotely frightened or intimidated by anything.
And Stefan will look around, and he'll look for they did have different clothing on. Is that right, Ben? Going by their rank.
Yes.
Is that what happened when I had a conversation?
Yes.
So he'll try and. Sorry.
They wear a sort of similar style, but there are elements which give a sense of station to those that are more significant.
Yeah. So going off the people he had a conversation with before, I forget their exact rank in the diaspora, but there was definitely not the Pope, because the Pope you had to reach a certain level to have a conversation with.
Pope's
And he had a talk with a couple of other people who will find the highest ranking person that he's aware of.
Okay.
And they're going on their outfit.
I mean, of the ones who are visible to you, you can see someone you have actually, I think, had pointed out to you more than had a detailed conversation with, but you did exchange a few words with, called Vanessa, known as Tall Vanessa, because there are two Vanessas.
Right.
He will look back at Cat. Does Cat come down with him?
Yeah.
Do you want to come with, or it's up to you?
Sure. I'm happy to see you work.
He looks very awkwardly at that. Come on then, let's go. And he'll quite casually but confidently walk up to Tall Vanessa. Hello, Tall Vanessa. Hello.
Hello.
I don't know if you remembered, we briefly met before. Stefan, the Lord of the Feast. For now, I think we spoke about membership. Anyway, I've been asked by management on the Baltic Stella.
Oh,
excuse me.
What an introduction.
The air conditioning on these ships really really gets up my nose. I'm sorry about that. I've been asked by leadership, by my direct manager. You all seem very cheerful, and we're a little bit, we're just a little bit worried that the events of the last few days have gotten to you. It must be quite a stressful and traumatic thing to have had two people try and explode you, I guess.
Can you roll a persuade for me, please, with your choice of intellect or social?
I can. Actually, I think this might be slightly better than with Agna, which is good. That's a 9. I'm going to go with social because the social's 0, but I do have a +1 persuade for a 10.
Okay. She nods and says, I think partly it's that sense that clearly we've had 2 attacks and not a scratch on anyone. It's like we're destined to make it safely to our eventual destination. There are also some reasons from within our own teachings that make this feel very much like everything is as it should be, but the details of that, they're more complex to explain.
I mean, I have time if you wish to.
It's not so much that we're not really supposed to discuss the details of that level of information with outsiders.
I see. Well, that's I can understand the need for privacy, especially given the situation that has occurred. Could I ask? We were having some not issues with the paperwork, but we had a bit of some conflicting information with the paperwork for the job. Who was the member of the diaspora that contacted the Travelers Aid Society to employ us?
Marcus.
Marcus. Is Marcus? Does Marcus have a second name?
Von Cotswolds.
Of course. No, my apologies, Ben. Was that the person at the Travelers Aid Society?
It was. Yeah.
Stefan was after the member of the diaspora that. Sorry, I think that was your contact at the Travelers Aid Society. I was more inclined to. I wanted to find out who from the diaspora made contact with the Travelers Aid Society.
Still Marcus.
Oh, he
arranged our trip and hired you.
Ah, I see. So you booked passage.
Oh, crit fail.
And he thought it would be a good idea to have some security along. Is that right?
He arranged for you to protect us. He booked our passage and he organized the berthing on the ship and all of the other arrangements. It was his task.
Oh, perfect. But nobody from the diaspora specifically requested security protection.
I don't believe so. I think Marcus made the decision that there needed to be security in case we encountered any trouble on our pilgrimage.
Okay, well that makes perfect sense as to why we got our paperwork confused. Yes, we'll definitely be able to sort that out. Thank you. That's a great help. You weren't expecting any trouble, were you?
We have known of things in the past where we get some difficulty with people who don't like us or trust us, but it hasn't been violent before.
Okay, well, I'm pleased. That's good. Yeah, thank you. I think that's it. Kat, anything else?
She thinks for a moment and then says, if there was no previous violence, did Marcus tell you why he thought it was necessary to hire armed security? Vanessa shakes her head and says, "No, he just made the arrangements, and we let him carry out his task. We all had tasks, you understand."
Having overheard members of the diaspora speak in a social situation, I suppose, to each other over brunch and other such activities, I don't know how much Stefan would have overheard them speaking to other people, but is this very much just their way of talking? That she's saying he had a task, he did his task. Agnar had a task to. Cara had a task to bring us brunch.
It sounds relatively familiar, yes.
Okay, cool.
As if there are specifically ordained rules within the within the organization where a person at a certain level or tasked with a certain thing is responsible for exactly that. And they seem to run their organization in that sense of community, I guess, where someone is given a particular job to do, commensurate with their specific level and their specific engagement with it.
Okay, thanks. I guess the only other thing I suppose is, I know it's information that you like to keep close within your group, but if there is anything in your teachings that could possibly help us reduce any further threat down the line, relating to the two that have just happened, we would greatly appreciate the help in keeping you all safe.
Well, I'll think, but I don't know of anything.
No, that's fine. It's just if anything springs up that might help us to do our jobs, it would be well, I think it would be in everyone's interest.
Yes,
thanks.
But thank you for your efforts on our behalf. It's going very smoothly.
So far, so good.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else we can do for you while you're down here? Any other excursions or any other, anything you need bought or?
No, the only thing that we're focused on now is if there's any way you can assure that we'll be given permission to relocate to Harrenhal when we arrive on Geeka. That's where we should be, and that's where we should live.
Oh, by relocate, you say?
It is our home, our temple.
Yes, it might be. Sorry, it might be me that got the. I think there was some cross communication within the team. I thought it was a visit that you were after, but I'm sure we'll explore all avenues and see what we can do.
That's excellent, because the ancient ruins on Harrenhal are sacred to us.
Yeah, I had heard. I suppose it's too much of a prior for me to ask in what way they're sacred.
It's not really for outsiders, I'm afraid.
No, that's what I figured.
It is in our teachings.
Indeed, I just thought if we had some substance to approach people with, that we might get a better reception. But we'll throw it out there and see how it goes, I suppose.
Excellent. Thank you for your efforts.
No, you're welcome. It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure to look after you fine people. I'll tell you what, I'll get Cara to send out another brunch anyway. You look like you need. Trust me, Lord of, and he points to the headdress, Lord of the Feast. You look like you could do with another brunch.
Okay.
We'll forgo the formalities this time, though. You know, no speeches or having of the brunch. Or
What?
we in fact we don't even need the bailiff this time. We'll have an informal brunch sent down to
Wow.
you.
Brunch without the bailiff.
Maybe.
This is quite heretical.
It all sounds lovely.
Good. Well, enjoy the rest of your whatever time it is, afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for your help. Stefan will walk away,
Walk away.
look
away.
around.
All right. So as this is going on, other members of the team are heading towards the quarters that were identified in Kara's search. Is that right?
Yeah, so on their way, Cara nudges into dear old Agno, of course, and says, Agno,
Mm-hmm.
you didn't see what I got printed, right? I printed some stuff, right, when we were on De La Bru. I ordered it through the De La Bru, printed it, ordered it through the De La Bru delivery service. I got some playing cards with our faces on, man. Right, I thought we could have a little wager. Yeah. And she looks
Why?
and calls up to. Right, but
Why would you print cards with our face? When was the last time we played cards?
You got to love yourself. You got to love yourself. Look, I've got two with me, right? I've got one with my face on. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the Queen of Hearts, Agnar, aren't I?
Wait, what card am I?
You're the three of clubs. No, you are.
What?
Agnar, of course, you are the king. You are the King of Hearts, Agnar. Look, there you are. You got
That's
crown,
more like
your
it.
beloved shotgun, and everything. All right. And I'm going to shuffle them up. I want you to pick one. Okay. We'll have a little wager, and which if you pick right, I'll give you 100 credits, and if you pick wrong, you give me 100 credits. Okay.
Can we? How about if I pick right, you give me a deck of those playing cards? I don't know how many you got printed.
Oh, a few.
How much do they cost?
Oh, like 17 credits.
And if I don't guess right or you guess right, I'll give you 17 credits.
Oh, that's a win. Let's go for it. Okay. So you want to pick yourself, okay? If that's what you want to do. Do you want my left hand or my right hand?
Out of character, this is confusing because I'm not sure whether Luke's left hand is actually his left hand, and obviously I know which cards.
I think I've had surgery to like switch those. Just
pick the right one.
It's helped with my cricket. It's just confused.
I'll tell you what, Cara, I'll take your left hand.
Take my left hand.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. It's my left hand. That is my left hand. Look, it's my left hand.
I see it's on the right of my screen.
Yeah, you can. It's
Definitely not
my
left hand.
It would behave. And you've drawn. It's me, Agno. You've drawn me. You owe me 17 credits.
Did you? Hold on. Turn the other one over.
What do you mean turning it? It's me as well. It's me. No, it's Agno. It's you.
Good.
Look at you. So handsome. You got a whiskey there, an expensive whiskey, and your shotgun and a crown. I gave you a crown.
God, they're good. Did you do the graphics for those?
I did all the graphics, Agno. You know me. I do all the graphics, Agno. Now look, let's sort out the winnings. Sort out the winnings again. There we go.
Okay. Can you do me a favour though? Could you send a couple of packs of those to someone for me?
I'll do what I can. Send me you message me the address. I'll make sure they get them.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I probably don't need to message you. Can you send 2 packs to Rack? One for him and one for the new business. You know, we can just leave them lying around on the table in the rooms, and
so that people know.
If anyone wants to play cards, we can set up like a little shelf with some board games on. We can put some some Exia on there.
This is some top quality
Exia.
thinking. Exia. This is some
Well,
top quality thinking. I'll do
Is
that.
he? Yeah. Thanks.
That's all right. That's all right. And
Was that it?
that's it from me. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a moment of silence as they walk, and Soraya says, although Agnar, there's been something that's been playing on my mind for a while. Do you mind if it's about Buckyball, do you mind?
Buckyball?
It'll only take a minute. It'll only take a minute.
Oh, go on then.
It'll take a minute.
It'll take
Yes,
a
it
minute.
will. Hold on
It'll
a second.
take a minute.
I'll be timing you though.
Oh yeah, that's what they all say.
I don't think I've got any practical way of copying into the text.
No, I've got it. I've got it kind
Have
of
you?
committed. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Lucky we're not talking about my magnificent innings and my bowling, because that would take far longer than a minute. So anyway, I spoke to Cara a bit about this, because she's very much into the working class, isn't she?
She is.
We had a discussion the other night. We had a discussion the other night about. We had a discussion the other night about the working class when it met Buckyball big time. You see, there was years ago they used to run these series, right? They were like 3 weeks events, okay, and they pulled all these teams together. And there was this anarchist cricket team, right? Everyone loved them. I used to watch them a lot on when I was in my ship, of course. The thing is, they take forever to select their captain and their fielding position. And this 3-week event became 3 months, right? It was like a massive outroar. But because of it, they had to play at night time as well as daytime, the Buckyball, so they used more electric. The Galactic Working Class, you see, they thought, what we're going to do is we'll sell loads of light bulbs. So they sold loads of light bulbs to this event. Right, and it was great because everyone freaked out about the anarchists because they misheard it and they heard it as Antichrist, you see. So everyone spent loads of money to make sure that the bulbs were going the whole time so that the teams could beat them because they didn't want even a draw. And so the Galactic Working Class made so much money on light bulbs and they invested it all into hot tubs. You know, like all these hot tubs in all these ships, like the Seamstress, were like installed by the Galactic Working Class, and they made a huge profit, which they've just given to like the poor across the Imperium. It's amazing. So when you spend time in the hot tub, you can lie back and you know that this has fed poor kids in the backside of beyond. The planets I used to go to. It's a beautiful thing, man.
Is that true?
Kara shrugs.
As true as anything else.
Agnar kind of gawks for a moment as if he's just been told a story that clearly a lot of effort was spent on, and Cara isn't willing to commit to whether it was true or not. What was the purpose for this if it wasn't true?
So I was like, well, it's true. It's true. Just say next time you slip into your shorts in the bubbles, just think of food rations to the poor.
Next time I get floofy, I'll think of the distribution of wealth that these hot tubs have created.
Exactly. That's a lovely way to think about it, Agnar. Anyway, oh look, we're nearly here. This is the place, isn't it, Cara? Cara nods, rolling her eyes. Yep, we're here. Should we go down?
What's the plan? Do we knock on the door, Agnar, or do we get Soraya to knock on the door?
Soraya smiles. I'll knock on the door. But do you need to speak to the lovely Sharp first, just to double check, or we only do that if she's not in?
No, I forgot about that.
Man, you're spending all your time playing cards and listening to these wonderful historical lectures. You should have told us you needed to talk to her.
I was tricked by a deck of cards with my face on.
You're so vain.
I know.
I bet you think this stream is about you, don't you?
All right, fine. Get your knocking explosives ready, and I'll call Sharp.
You know so little about explosives.
Actually, ring ring.
Actually, he's got +2. He's like the most explosive expert.
Hello. Yes.
Hi Sharp. Just we wanted to let you know The Sarai, you remember Sarai?
Of
Hello.
course.
The one who knew nothing last time.
Right.
Yeah,
Still knows,
I recall.
Still knows nothing.
So Ryan starts doing this thing where she stands there and turns her back, puts her arms around there, and goes, facing her back to thinking.
Agnar turns around. She ran into someone that seemed rather suspicious, which, you know, in and of itself isn't an issue. I'm sure on a ship as large as this, but Kara did some digging and found out some more odd information. Apparently, they've never been on a bucketball cruise before. Didn't seem that interested, and they took a bit of offence when Soraya mentioned the word cult. Anyway, it seemed a bit odd. They left quite abruptly, apparently, and we're just approaching their room. So it looks down the corridor. Just thought we'd bring it up.
I
Do you want
mean,
the name?
sure, but
Carl was
you
the
understand you can't go bothering guests just because they didn't like a word that you said.
Well, there was more to it. Hold on, I'm going to pass you over to Soraya.
Soraya's like has to pull one of her hands up from her face.
Hold on, she's just smooching herself. Yeah.
Hello?
Hello,
Hello? How are you?
I suspect about to be much worse.
It's all good. It's all good. So you know, while your boy was beating people up and stuff, I was doing hearts and minds, and I kept things cool. You know, I did what people should do, and I calmed down the situation. I took people for a drink at the bar, and got talking to someone, and she was very interested in what was going on, and very interested in sort of specifics. And when I mentioned the cult, because of course they are a bit of a conversation piece on board, unfortunately. Clearly, we're not doing our job well enough. But she just had a dirty look across her face, and I tried to I was like double checking, making sure that I hadn't she didn't want a different word than that. She suddenly went from very friendly and interested to very short, and it may be nothing, but I know we're worried about this third thing, and each person so far, like the last guy, he was spying on Agnar, wasn't he? We'd seen him beforehand, and I know Agnar brought it up because you said you were going to look into it at the time, didn't you? And there was just it just rings my bell, and I totally get if it's nothing, but Cara did some research, and it ticks all the boxes. Traveling alone, no other record of this and that. You know, she wasn't wearing all the gear. She didn't seem so excited about watching the game like everyone else did. Just something smelt a bit off, and it might be nothing, but both of these attacks have been within 12 hours of each other, and I don't feel like we can sit back on things, you know. I wasn't suggesting we go barging in. I was going to go and knock first, and and pretend that something, I don't know what, make a fool of myself. You know what I'm like.
You want to knock on a door, that's fine, but you haven't got enough to do anything more than that.
Not even knocking the door so hard that the door breaks a little.
I cannot condone such actions, and I may be forced to call you guys in and have a word if that sort of thing happens. You're talking about someone who could be just a basic guest on board a liner.
Yeah, basic. It is true. It's difficult. I guess we're just on edge, because of the situation. We don't want things to get worse, I guess. We're not so much worried about the cult. We're worried about, she sort of speaks quietly, she says that, looking around. We're worried about everyone, really, you know? And I promise that we won't use undue aggression in our actions.
Then in that case, this conversation does not exist in my official report. I did have something to pass on to you, though.
Please do.
We've identified your injured assailant.
Oh, okay.
He calls himself Joey Swindon.
Joey Swindon. Ah.
Yes, it's obviously a fake name.
Oh, it sounds like he's in one of those terror series about people with fake towns that live in parts of the UK. Joey Swindon. Cheers. Well, it's a good fake name. Agnar, if ever you need a name, call yourself Joey Swindon. Good name, right?
Joey Swindon is a good name. Not for a Varga. Stefan could use it.
It's a very basic name for a Varga.
But it is a strong name.
It is strong. Thanks, though, Sharp. I know he was only ever going to give so much away, wasn't he? Let's face it. And half of it was going to be lies. Appreciate it, though. We won't cause any trouble. Speak to you soon, I'm sure. Agnar says he hopes you're okay. Bye. She hangs up. She hands the device back to Agnar. She said,
you're approaching
take care
the door?
to you, Agnar. She said, take care, Agnar.
What does she really say? She all right with it? Not is she all right? I don't care if she's all right. I do care, but no. Is she okay with what we are about to do?
I said yes. She said, as long as we don't use too much violence, then the conversation doesn't exist. That's exactly what she said.
To the door.
So if you're going to break in, don't use any violence.
Okay, so you get to the door. All three of you together?
Soraya waves the other two away for now, I guess.
Okay.
Is there enough of a is the door set back enough that if Agnar was flat against the wall, either opposite or to the side of Soraya, wait, I suppose either side of Soraya, that he would not be seen potentially?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent that's true, unless someone on the other side of the door when it slides open was also at that sort of same acute angle, then they'd probably catch a glimpse.
Okay. He'll do that. I suppose on the side where it opens, because they're more likely to be stood on the side where it opens. Maybe.
All right. And how about Kara?
Kara's going to back away more. She's going to go back to the corner of the area and just sit down in the seating area.
And then Soraya?
She's going to stand there thinking about knocking, but trying to work out how she's going to go approach saying it. She's gone over so ballsy, but hasn't yet decided what she's going to say yet. She's too carried away thinking about the galactic working class and buckyball, unfortunately.
What was the person's name again?
It's
Ferrily.
Ferrily Harmon.
Thanks.
Okay. Soraya approaches the door and knocks on it.
Just knock on the door, yeah?
Yes, please.
Okay. Soraya reaches up and knocks on the door fairly firmly, but not as trying to bash the thing in or anything. Just a fairly firm sort of standard knock. And that's where we're going to call it for tonight.
Oh, Ben. Ben. Why would you do that to us?
I'm
mean,
not
it's
going to
late.
I'm not going to remember what I was going to say. I have to rethink it. It's
Quick,
fine.
write it down.
Well, you've got a week to come up with a really good, cunning plan, haven't you?
Oh, no.
Aha.
Actually, a fortnight, I think. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's true. And there'll be no answer. I'm not going to invest time. I'm just going to do what I normally do and just wing it.
It's a good plan.
Fair.
I am a fan of the winging it.
Fan of the winging it. Oh,
Winging it is, good.
Thank you, though, Ben, even though that was scumbaggish.
No, it was great fun. It was indeed.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah,
You
you've got
guys-
2 weeks, as
2 weeks.
rightly says.
Yeah,
Yes, it's 2 weeks.
it's my cricket dinner next week, where hopefully I'll win some awards. I should do. If I don't, I'll be very upset.
All the awards.
I know the awards, they're the most important part of the season. I want a trophy. I love a cheap trophy. That's what I want.
Mm. Yeah, trophies are good.
Everyone loves a trophy.
I get a trophy every now and then for the quiz or whatever. It's great.
Of course,
Lovely
you
to have a
quiz
trophy.
trophies. It's nice, isn't it? It just
Yeah.
feels good that you've achieved something, however small, in the world.
Like getting a little gold star on your report card.
Oh man, my youngest comes back from school every now and again with stickers. She loves them. She's got like her chest of drawers next to her bed. She sticks them all over it. She absolutely loves it, and we're just the same. Just the same.
If you do win one, Luke, can you send a photo? I want a Photoshop version turning it into a bucketball trophy.
I'll do what I can.
With Soraya's name all over it.
Oh, don't take it away from me. Soraya didn't earn it. I earned it.
No, you say that.
Claiming things she did.
Soraya did quite well, to be fair.
She did actually.
Soraya did very well.
Yeah. Not as well as I did this season, though.
Well, thank you, everybody,
Arguable.
for joining us tonight for a little more madness on board the Seamstress.
Mm.
As we've been discussing, it'll be 2 weeks before our next Traveller stream.
But wait,
because next Friday we're doing a Fighting Fantasy because Luke is busy collecting a trophy. Hopefully.
I hope so. Maybe 3. I think I should get 3. But I know I've set my hopes high. It won't happen.
So humble.
I should get 3, but I won't. I should. But I won't. Because they won't allow.
Yeah, and tomorrow night we're doing something a bit unusual, or at least for us. I assume it's unusual for everybody. We're doing the first game stroke reading of a newly discovered Jacobean play, probably written by William Shakespeare's inept cousin Tim.
Tim Shakespeare.
And it's essentially set around the gunpowder plot and is built as a play in 5 acts, 3 of which will be performed as spoken word by our cast, and then the 2 in between will be, as we're calling it, improvised, as in played. So hopefully people will find that fun. We'll give it a shot tomorrow night, 11 o'clock our time. And then, is it Monday this week, Luke, you're doing?
Yeah, I think
Cyberpunk.
So.
Yeah, Monday for Cyberpunk.
I think so.
Okay.
I think Cyberpunk's going okay. People seem to be enjoying it still. Are we enjoying the story and that?
Yes, I'm enjoying Cyberpunk greatly.
Good, I'm glad. You're enjoying, what's her name? That's what you're enjoying.
I enjoy many, many things.
Judy, that's what you enjoy. Poor Jackie Wells. Can we raise a glass to Jackie Wells?
Yes, of course we can.
Jackie Wells, may rest in peace.
To Jackie Wells.
He had a certain vibe about him.
I mean, he was very, very profoundly idiotic.
Every group needs one of them. Oh, Jackie Wells. I loved him.
You're absolutely right.
I loved him like a friend, like a brother.
Yeah. So yes, we will we'll reconvene tomorrow for a bit of gunpowder bonfire night celebration, and then Monday for Cyberpunk, and then next weekend you're on for Thursday but missing Friday. Is that right, Luke?
On Thursday, missing Friday, so you'll find.
Brilliant. So we'll do Fighting Fantasy
Fantasy.
on Friday.
And then it's Orbital
And
Blues
what
on
just
Saturday.
Oh,
Brilliant.
yes,
What a fortnight we've got coming up. All the good stuff's happening.
It's a really densely packed thing, isn't it, this time?
Exactly. Right. I've found a raid. I don't think we've been to them before. I follow them. Cybernation Uncensored. I follow because they play Cyberpunk Red. So I thought we'd pop over to them. Let's go test. We're in the cyberpunky mood at the minute, so we'll go raid them, I think. It'd be nice to at least say hello to them, whether you hang around or not, of course. It's nice to show that we're popping in and giving some support for what they're doing. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. I had a lovely time.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, all.
Thank you very much.
And
Good night.
Speak to you all soon. Bye. Oh, you can only chat if you follow or subscribe. Oh, it's one of those. Didn't realise that. I follow, so that's okay. I can chat at least. Right, ready? We're gonna raid. Let's raid. There's a little raid. Let's go.